Hi, and welcome to Fellows Riverside Gardens, Mill Creek Metro Park's public garden in Youngstown, Ohio. As you can see behind me, we have lots of setup taking place. It's kind of a fun, whimsical theme this year, and this year's theme is actually titled the Gingerbread Garden. Gingerbread Garden is part of the whole winter celebration this year at Fellows Riverside Gardens, and I want to share with you some of the exciting parts of what it is all about. So, let me walk in and get you on your way. So inside the Davis Education and Visitor Center, our holiday theme is all set up. And as you can see, it's all centered around gingerbread. Well, the plants that connect with gingerbread is what we're really trying to educate about. But as families and individuals come in, they really want to just kind of see some fun, be entertained, and enjoy themselves. So our theme this year, as we said, Gingerbread Garden, really connects the whole garden, the visitor center, the outside, and I want to share with you some of the parts and pieces of that. As you enter the visitor center, you can participate and walk through the gingerbread lane. So right here, our little sign describes kind of what this part of the display is about. And as you see, the volunteers and staff have been extremely creative and busy decorating with all kinds of display items that relate to this theme, the gingerbread garden. So you'll see artificial ice cream cones on top of real ice cream cone holders. Or you'll find, as we walk around, we'll find some gingerbread houses. We'll also talk about plants that relate to the gingerbread or making of candy and food that relates to gingerbread. But it's really kind of a fun, whimsical place where we have lots of color, and it's almost on an overload, but the color is really enjoyable. And it all connects with, of course, the plants. And what we really are all about is to display and show and be the poinsettia display, paper white narcissus, and so on. We have plants to show you. So let's go see. So along Gingerbread Lane, you'll find plants that are displayed that really talk about and promote and show you, maybe for the very first time, what some of these seasonal spice plants are that we use in our holiday baking. So for instance, cinnamon. Some of you have used ground cinnamon, of course, quite a few. Some of you know the cinnamon stick, which is actually nothing more than the inner bark of the cinnamon tree. We do not have a full-size tree, but we do have a small tree that you can at least get the idea and see, wow, that's interesting that it truly comes from cinnamon, is truly from a plant. And you know, the inner bark is what's used and ground down in for baking and cooking and spices in our holiday baking. But it also helps with aiding in digestion, so sometimes people use it as a medicinal plant as well. Another plant we have on display here is the ginger. Ginger is a fairly common plant. Sometimes people use it as an ornamental container plant out on their patio or porch. Well, ginger, the Zinzibera officinale, is a plant that we can grow and show here easily. And the part that is used, and if you've done some Asian cooking, you might have used this, is the ginger root. This is nothing more than the underground part of the plant. You strip off the bark or the skin, and you can grind that up or cut it up or mash it, and that wonderful ginger fragrance comes out and flavor. And it truly is exactly the key ingredient in gingerbread. The other plant that we have on display here is also one of our seasonal holiday plants for providing a spice, is allspice. And this is actually an interesting tropical plant or tree. They're the dried berries of this plant. So it's pretty amazing that if we don't think about it, we kind of forget how important plants are in our lives and how they play many different roles. And again, how we can show that here at Fellows Riverside Gardens with Winter Celebration is exactly what we want to do. So as we walk along Gingerbread Lane, of course, our permanent fixture is the shop in the gardens. And you can see it's very festively decorated with the red and white theme carried out. The volunteers and staff again created planter boxes this year in front of the shop filled with poinsettias and ivies. But you'll have to come in and see exactly how these gingerbread boxes were created. I think they were quite talented. Remember, the shop in the gardens is open. All of the hours at Fellows Riverside Gardens is open and in the Davis Center. So that's 10 to 5, Tuesday through Sunday. So stop in and shop. And of course, our information desk where you can sign up for a class or have a question answered is right here along the gingerbread pathway. Don't forget to look up and see the beautiful garland, both made from live evergreens, holiday lights, and those ice cream cones again. So as you follow the hallway, you'll see more of the gingerbread lane, and you'll see some wooden cutout replicas of what a gingerbread house might look like, kind of on a life size, or at least a child's life size. And we had some great support and help from local schools, as well as again our volunteers and of course our staff. And you can see the poinsettias, the Norfolk Island pines, as well as our other permanent plants all integrated right in here together. One of the things that you could also do if you're watching closely is take a peek outside. If it's daylight or dark night, you're going to see some really interesting, creative ways that our staff put together and carried out the theme of the gingerbread garden right outside. So, participating and walking along, seeing lots of cutout gingerbread men, and our last stop along this part of the gingerbread lane is the garden shop. So if you're looking for a great place to buy some poinsettias, as you can see that they're all lined out here, or amaryllis, and we have some beautiful amaryllis that are starting to come. You can see the flower buds starting to pop up here. But if you don't want yours potted, you could actually buy some that are bare root and pot your own, or even grow those in water. We can do that very successfully. Or try your hand at some of these beautiful cyclamen. I think they're just magnificent. Cyclamen are quite beautiful. Just the leaves themselves are kind of interesting. They look like an ivy-shaped leaf, and lots of interesting variegation on the leaves. But we have them in pinks and reds and whites and bicolors and frilly ones and so on. New for us this year is actually having a few extra items like little wreaths that are made out of ivies, or little trees that have this cone shaped and nice little ribbons on them to accent. So for yourself at your home, or a place to provide gifts for friends, or especially those gardeners, these are something unusual. They're white. You're familiar with the white paperwhites. These are yellow paperwhites. So a nice way to broaden your horizons about growing plants indoors. So on our way past the garden shop, past Gingerbread Lane. We're now in the Antonucci Horticulture Library, and this is a great place for people to come and learn about plants of all sorts. But of course, this year, our themes of our books, of course, are still the gingerbread topic. So there's spices described. You could actually smell the cloves, see examples of little Christmas trees and buildings made out of gingerbread. But one of the highlights is the tree in this library. And this year again, the Loose Knit group did some great knitting and probably some other activity too, handwork, but I guess I'm gonna call it all knitting. They have done hats and scarves for kids and adults and so on, and these will all be donated to some of our charities. And if you look close on the decorations on the walls is lots of little gingerbread made into garlands that were kind of fun. So don't forget, come to the gardens and use this library as well. It is available for checkout by our members, the Friends of Fellows of Riverside Gardens. So if you're not a member and you're interested in doing that, come join us. Let's go see what else we can find. So we're here in the Garden Cafe, and as you may have visited in the past, or if not, I invite you to come down and spend a few hours or a whole day here. And of course, when you get hungry, the Garden Cafe is open for you to relax and refresh yourselves and look out to that beautiful view of Lake Glacier. Probably the real highlight of our winter celebration each year, or one of them that people think about and wonder how it's going to look this year, is our poinsettia tree. So we had an idea of using red and white, just like our candy canes, and related to our theme of the gingerbread garden. And on our special evenings where we do what's called winter nights, that's the Sunday evenings here in December where our holiday lights are on display outside. You'll see more about that in a moment. We have created holiday dinners, so you can sign up by reservation and have a really beautiful candlelit dinner here in the cafe on one of the Sunday nights before you go outside to see your lights. So you'll have to make reservations for that, so call ahead. On display in the Weller Gallery throughout the month of December into early January is Holiday Stitches. And this is a really outstanding exhibit that showcases the work of the Youngstown Embroidery Guild. So, you can look at it from a distance, but make sure you go up close and look at some of the detail of all those little stitches. And what I find interesting is the additional beads and the other kinds of additional items that get sometimes embroidered right into the work. So very classical embroidery type of work that look like samplers, but very kind of holiday traditions carried forth, as well as three-dimensional work. Really a treat to the eye to look at all of the work that the Youngstown Embroidery Guild did about holiday stitches. Our last stop along the Gingerbread Lane, right inside the Davis Center door, is the Delphinium's Gingerbread Shop. It's a bakery, not a true bakery that you can eat and buy the product, but it's a bakery that teaches and shows and learns what we can see about gingerbread and what would normally be in a bakery. So let's go check it out. So when you enter the bakery, the first thing I think that happens is you're kind of at awe in the beauty, the color, the lights. And then if you look close at all the detailed gingerbread cutouts or other cookies and pastries, and you say, those look real. Gosh, I really like to taste one and eat one, but you know what? I really suggest you not even trying, because you'll probably end up at the dentist because they're rock hard. But really appreciate the importance of what has been created here. There's these 3 activities that kids and families can participate in. They can take the seek and find and a marker, and they can try to find these items according to what's listed on the signs that went into this. So vanilla or ginger or orange, you could find the pastry, a pie or a cookie that has vanilla or ginger or anise, and check that off. And then return that. Another activity that people can participate in is smelling and trying to identify scents. So if you take this one, for instance, and you smell the top or open the top and take a whiff, I know that's coffee. So then I will put that right into the coffee bowl and just kind of test yourselves and your kids and see if you could identify the different scents. Sometimes the ones that trick people is the anise. They're not sure what to call it because they're not that familiar with it. You can see the beauty of the lights and how beautiful they're arranged, and the gingerbread displays. But the last activity that a child or a parent or grandparent or somebody can help do is some grinding. So you could put some grain, and this is corn and buckwheat from Lanterman's mill, as well as grains of wheat. And you can actually learn about the process of grinding. Kind of a pseudo Lanterman's mill activity, but again, importance of seeing that these seeds of these plants are actually what's ground down into flour that we then use to make all the products in this room. So make sure that you visit the lower level as well. There's lots of trees to see downstairs, and you wouldn't want to miss the great work of the volunteers and staff that have assembled, again, this beautiful garlands and this almost whimsical wreath. Circling around the Rossi Auditorium is 46 different holiday trees that have been decorated. They're all live Fraser firs that are a type called Canaan fir, and they've been grown here in Mahoning County. We give the opportunity to nonprofit organizations to display their activity and the mission of their organization through their tree. A lot of times they connect it with our theme, the gingerbread, so you'll see that on some of them. But places like Mahoning Valley Historical Society really connected with the 100th anniversary of World War I. So it's very red, white, and blue. And we'll spend some time looking at a few of these, but there's 45 trees for you to make sure you look at and take some time to think about. So behind me are the Goodwill, Youngstown Streetscape, Junior League, Alchemy Animals, and Men's Garden Club, which is a fun display of all kinds of dried natural garden type of seed pods and plants. But don't forget to look close at some of these interesting round spaces. You know what that is? It's actually a mud wasp's nest. It has beautiful gray and tan and white colors in it. Pretty amazing. Let's look at some more this way in the radius room. Many of the trees have very important messages to share and also inform us about. Many of us don't know that these organizations even exist. So for instance, the Mahoning County Court-Appointed Special Advocates Group for Children. So the CASA tree or the Audubon Society of Mahoning Valley. Always fun to look at the different bird or ornaments they've come up with. There's all kinds of trees that really describe our local community. The Holborn Herb Growers Guild. An orange tree, which is quite fun, which is YMCA, and Empowering Women, the YWCA, I'm sorry, Altrusa International, a group that we work with here at the Gardens, and Polish Youngstown, Yellow Brick Place, all kinds of trees that really share their message about what their organization is about. So I'm here in the Rossi Auditorium, and it's a great place, as many of you know, for events and parties, but we use it for our special events as well. So on those winter nights, the Sundays here in December, this will be full of activities. We'll be having some hands-on things to do. We might be having some entertainment groups that walk here in and out. They're not stationed in this room, but also we'll be selling hot chocolate and cocoa, or hot chocolate and coffee, as well as some pastries. I want to make sure you saw the beautiful display of stars and snowflakes that Sweet Arrangements helped us with this year. And don't forget to look outside. Obviously, it's a winter landscape, but there's lots of beauty out there. You can see the white of the sycamore trees and the gray shades and the kind of almost reddish tinges of the buds that are waiting to emerge next spring. It's still a beautiful place. It's kind of nice to be inside to look out as well. On the lower level, don't forget to visit the Mill Creek Park Museum. So let's see what's in there. So I found 8 trees decorated here in the museum, as well as 2 outside. And again, they represent our community, so it's Rescue Mission, it's the Mahoning Soil and Water Conservation District, Easter Seals, as well as our neighbor, the historic St. John's Lutheran Church. But behind all of the trees is our museum displays. So there's a section about the fellows and who they were. Remember, they are the people that left the land and money to start Fellows of Riverside Gardens. There's a display about Volney Rogers, our park patriarch, the man who started Mill Creek Metro Parks and wrote that legislation to create park districts. You know, we were the first one, and it was back in 1891 he did his work. But the center section continues the last of our Through the Lens display, which is here through early January. Don't forget to come and check out some of the interesting old cameras that were used to take photographs over the last century and a half, approximately. And there was even some displays of some of the old glass negatives that we have on our collections of parks seen in the middle of winter. So it's kind of a fun thing to connect how photography over time and has been documented of Mill Creek Park. So thank you for letting me share with you what Winter Celebration contains here at Fellows Riverside Gardens. Our last stop is up here on top of the tower, as we call it. This is an observation place. Some people have never visited it, but if you stop in, make sure you do. If it's an icy, snowy day, we'll have it closed for safety, but otherwise, come and visit it. It's kind of fun. Don't forget to join us on the Sunday nights for Winter Celebration. You'll see the gazebo all set up in beautiful lights. We'll have a storyteller in there. She'll be acting like a baker who's been baking gingerbread, and it surely will be fun for you to enjoy. My name's Keith Kaiser. I'm the horticulture director here from Mill Creek Metro Parks, and I appreciate your time listening to our story about what goes on here in December. Thank you to Armstrong Cable and specifically Greg Roten for all his filming and editing. It's a great relationship that we've had, and we appreciate it very much. Happy holidays.